Hi, welcome to Comic Cuts. This is week 4 on video. I'm having quite a lot of fun doing these things, so I'll keep them up as best I can. I'm going to rattle through a couple of things today because I need to concentrate on fulfilling a few orders that we've had in. We had a bit of a problem with our printer, which I'm hoping has been resolved now. It all started at the tail end of last week when they decided to transfer to a new platform. It proved to be an unmitigated disaster. It started, I was unable to log in, and then when I was able to log in, we discovered that some of the books were missing. By Wednesday, I had something like 20 books were back, but there were 4 books that were showing as being there, but actually weren't there. So I've had to re-upload those this morning. This is Thursday. I re-uploaded them this morning, so I haven't actually managed to do any work today, having spent all my time trying to figure out why print quality copies, which were perfectly okay and which I've been using for the last few weeks, suddenly don't work. There was an instance where a cover was 0.004 of an inch out. It printed perfectly the last time I ordered copies, and this time didn't want to print. So I've had to redo 1 or 2 files. They're now all re-uploaded, and I'm going to press the button and do a little order for myself, just to make sure that they're printing okay. And then I'll begin fulfilling orders. And now, I've been a little bit lucky in that most of the orders that have come through in the last week have been for Rocket or for books that I actually had a small stock of. 1 or 2 I've actually pulled copies off of the shelf. So I've got my vanity shelf with all my books on. So you've actually got those copies. 1 or 2 people who ordered some of the indexes that I don't actually carry stock in. So yeah, it's been interesting, a little bit stressful, but we've survived. Just catching up briefly with the new project. I've finished cleaning and cropping the artwork. I had to go back after I'd done the initial 240 or so pages. I went back through some of them because I just thought I can do a better job than this. In 1 or 2 cases, that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, the original source material was quite badly printed. But I'll try and show you some examples of where line and wash artwork in particular suffers badly with age. When a comic gets old, it tends to develop a yellow tinge. And certainly when you scan it in colour, you see this yellow that comes through, and unfortunately, as you try and take the yellow out, you also end up taking out the ink washes. So it's achieving some sort of balance between those two to give you the best results that I've been trying to do this past week. Some pages you just can't do a perfect job on, so you do the best that you can. I'm generally pleased with the way the artwork has turned out. There's only 1 or 2 pages that I'm unhappy with, but that may be down to the original printing, of course. The original printing was possibly not that great, and some of the line work disappeared then. I'm afraid there is absolutely nothing I can do about it with none of the original artwork surviving. That's been going okay. I've started doing some of the remasting of the opening episodes, which I'm going to have to do. Once that's done, I will get on with the relettering and trying to figure out what to do with the covers. At the moment, it looks like I'm going to do it in 2 volumes. I need to do this just to keep the prices down, and I'm hoping that I can have some more news for you next week. Anyway, I'm going to take a small break now, and we're going to show you an advert. Although the space age truly began in the autumn of 1957, when Sputnik beeped around the globe for 3 weeks, the race to create a rocket that could propel a satellite into low Earth orbit had been underway for over a decade. Advances made during the Second World War led to the development of the rocket propulsion systems that would launch cosmonauts and astronauts into space in the early 1960s. Despite this, rocket was, some might say, ahead of its time. With its features on missiles and descriptions of 3-stage rocketry, it mapped out a blueprint of how we might break the bonds of gravity and seek adventures beyond the stratosphere. Colourful comic strips gave its readers glimpses of worlds that could be discovered, but it lasted a mere 32 weeks and was long gone by the time ham radio operators tuned in to hear the first Russian satellites signal as it orbited 15 times a day, or citizens heard recordings of it on their regular radio. These were the days when Dan Dare of Eagle and Captain Condor of Lion commanded a readership of over 1 million between them, and dozens of other comics and newspapers had space heroes whose names still echo down the years: Jeff Hawke, Rick Random, Jet Ace Logan, Don Conquest, Space Kingley and Jet Morgan, to name but a few. Captain W.E. Johns and Patrick Moore were penning intergalactic adventures, and Journey into Space was the last evening radio show to attract a bigger audience than television. With science fiction proving so popular, the question has to be asked, why was Rocket such a failure? Now, in Rocket, the first Space Age Weekly, Steve Holland will answer that question and show that it was doomed from almost the moment that the first issue hit the newsstands. Available from Bear Alley Books, price $9.99 plus postage and packing. Rocket, the first Space Age Weekly. Oh, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I haven't quite got the right voice for advertising. Maybe if I'd re-recorded it, I might have been able to do a better job, but there you go. I'm doing this from home. I'm doing this for the first time in the majority of cases as well. So perhaps it's no surprise that it's a bit shonky. Anyway, look, I need to get back to sorting out the problems we've been having with our printer, and hopefully that means that orders will start flowing again. And I'll see you all next week. Hopefully we'll have time for Q&A, and hopefully I'll also sort out that video I keep promising about the keys of Wivenhoe. I just haven't had time this week. I do apologise. Okay, everybody. I hope you keep smiling. I hope you keep safe. And I shall see you again next week. Okay, bye. Bye. I mentioned a week or two ago that I was going to make some banana bread. It turned out so nicely that I actually made some more the following week. But this time we had some crushed nuts left over from the Knickerbocker Glory. So I put those over the top, and despite the corner singeing slightly in the oven, both times the bread has turned out really nice. I do thoroughly recommend it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I haven't quite got my advert voice right, but hopefully that'll give you an idea on what Rocket, the new book, looks like. And I hope that you'll be impressed enough to buy a copy. That's all I ask. In fact, I demand it. You must buy a copy. Anybody who's watched this far must buy a copy. To pay me back for all of the hard work that I've put into making this video. Just this one video, let alone the other 3. You'll have to buy a couple of other books if you want to pay me back for them.